everybody. Welcome to Best Coast Podcast. We're camaraderie, being sports fans together again. I'm your host, JJ. This is your host, Zach. And welcome to a Friday night broadcast. We just got done celebrating Christmas with our family, so we're a little bit late on this. But it's all fun football. We didn't get to pick our first three games of the Christmas slate, but those are boring games to watch, and I think we would have picked the winning teams. As much as the blowout were, we would have picked the favorites, and the favorites won, and all those bets would have hit. So
I don't know if I would have taken the under on that Seattle-Chicago game, though. This is JJ and I were just discussing this off air a little bit. Two of the last three Thursday night games not having a touchdown scored in it. That's bad product for the league, especially with the amount of emphasis they put on scoring points and making it, quarterback friendly and stuff like that. To not be able to get it across the goal line, that's the problem.
Right.
Is it because it's late in the year? Is it because teams and guys are beat up? Is it just not good football teams? Is it, bad clock management? Chicago, I'm looking at you. Like, what's causing that? And I'm sure that the competition committee will probably be talking about that a little bit this offseason.
Right, and part of it does have to be bad clock management on Chicago's part, especially in the end of the half and then at the end of the game. Like, I don't know what they're doing, calling a timeout and then trying to go for a punt, calling a timeout and then going for it. They were lucky that they got that picked up that 4th and 7. And then they just did nothing after that, and then they just continued to mismanage the clock the whole time. So it was just...
The amazing thing to me is that even Thomas Brown went and defended himself in his press conference. And I'm like, I'm getting shades of Eberflus right here. Like, did the same thing, went there, defended his, crappy decision-making. I guess when you're interim, like, has an interim coach ever been fired in the season after taking over for someone?
I don't think so. I mean, at this point in the game, you can't fire their interim coach, but usually it's already like 7 games, like 10 games in, and you fire your coach, So there's not much left of your season to salvage. You might want your interim head coach in there so you can get a better draft pick at that point with management. So
maybe there's been a directive that's come down to try to tank a little bit.
Right.
Who knows? But not entertaining game. Houston getting absolutely just battered. Was that a result of kind of being like on a weird schedule? Coming from a Thanksgiving or
a Saturday game.
A Saturday game. Yeah, Saturday to Wednesday. Quick turn. Granted, they're hurting at wide receiver. They got nobody besides Dalton Schultz out there who can catch the ball. They did just sign Dante Johnson. There's a reason 2 teams have let him go this year, but you need bodies at this point. I personally think Houston is one and done in the playoffs. They're too beat up on offense. And sure, they're going to be at home. Anything could happen. Joe Mixon could have like a Raheem Mostert NFC Championship style game, run for 250 yards and 4 tutties, and that defense keeps him in it.
Right.
But like if they have to go up against a team, like if they have to face Baltimore again in the playoffs or go up against Buffalo, donezo.
Right. I think they're scheduled right now. If the playoffs would end, they would play Pittsburgh, and even Pittsburgh would even outscore them at this point.
I think so. Pittsburgh, they've not looked good the last 3 weeks. They've not looked at that Pittsburgh team that was dominant as they were. Getting Pickens back out there did make them look a little bit better, but there was some, costly turnovers. Just very un-Steeler, wasn't a Mike. They did not look like a Mike Tomlin coach team.
So this year, I noticed the Steelers can't play in the weather. The bad weather is affecting them. I don't know if that's
so weird considering what they do. Like Russell Wilson has always played in bad weather, his entire career in Denver and Seattle. It's weird that they're having issues with that. Again, it's not something you ever have had to worry about with a Mike Tomlin coach team.
Right, man, and every year is different. So who knows what happened this year compared to what happened last year with those teams,
Dude,
And
I was thinking about this, man. Like a Russell Wilson Pittsburgh Steelers, playoff game against Denver.
Awesome. It would be epic. Dude, would be epic.
That would be fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't like that. I mean, Broncos fans would love it. Steelers fans would love it. Seahawks fans would love it. everybody would
I'm a
like it.
football fan. I'd be like, yeah, like give me the cheese man. This is what it's all about here. Like
Right?
the drama here. It's like you're paying me $40 million to try to beat you in the playoffs. Like, awesome. This is great.
And if they actually did beat him in the playoffs too, that would be even better. That'd just be like Russ Wilson just got his cake and ate it too, man.
Right, exactly. Like, why don't you just give me that last check right here on the field? Can I get like the big one, like from like they give you at golf tournaments?
Right?
Hand it over here, fellas. Yeah, we'll touch more on the playoff positioning later. And then Kansas City continues to be the luckiest team in the world. There's no polite way to put it. Like,
how do you bounce a ball off a guy's back and land right back into your arms like that? And so quickly, too. It wasn't even like a slow bounce. It was like boom, boom, and just like bounced off the guy and came right back to him. It's like, how?
Yeah, dude. I watched a lot of football in my life. I don't think I've ever seen a team catch this many breaks. And yes, questionable officiating, all that kind of stuff, too. But they're like, the football gods are definitely, throwing them some, yeah, for sure. Will that last in the playoffs? We'll see. Again, they're gonna have to face some teams who they're gonna have to face Buffalo at some point, and Buffalo whooped their ass in that previous meeting this year. And Buffalo right now is playing like a team possessed. Like they know what they've got here is the best opportunity they've had, I think, in the Josh Allen era.
Right, because they actually have a run game to support Josh Allen this year, and that's huge. That's huge. And then, NFC West is just even still just so sticky, man, in these playoff pushes. Dude, it's just what Seattle did yesterday against the Bears. I feel more confident with the Rams, them going against the Rams in LA to kind of wrap it up and be, okay, cool. Even if they lose to Arizona tomorrow, that they're going against Seattle and they already beat Seattle when they didn't have any weapons. Puka Nacua got kicked out early. They didn't have any Cooper Kupp. They had a broken offensive line, and they still managed to win in overtime.
Yeah, that entire game was just weird. That was just a strange looking football game. Definitely, I think that was an aberration for Seattle based on how they've played this year. But this also isn't the time of year to be having those sorts of breakdowns, especially when you've got trying to get into the playoffs here. Like you need to score touchdowns. You don't need field goals. You need tutties. So
and I like how easy it is to get under Metcalf's skin. Can we? I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah,
it's just block the guy for a couple seconds and he gets upset with you.
Yeah, you talk to the 49ers defensive back room. Like those guys, like they've even said that Shanahan's like, go over there and just kind of got to poke the bear a little bit. And you see it every time that the Niners and Seattle play. At some point, DK Metcalf goes full retard. Full retard, dude.
Yeah. Same thing with the Rams. The Rams do the same thing. They get every game against Metcalf. I always see a 15-yard personal foul against him after the play is ended because he just can't stop.
Well, it is, and guys know, like, block him a little bit extra, block him out of bounds. There's that footage of I think it was Jomador Lenore last year, like literally blocked him like over into the first fucking row. And Metcalf just he was out of the game after that because he was so focused on trying to get back at him, trying to get his get back, not like running routes and like listening to the quarterback and blocking downfield and stuff like that. So yeah, DK Metcalf is fun to watch him freak out.
Right. I'm surprised he didn't get ejected, honestly. Like
I think that happens later in the game. They probably toss him, but that little skirmish happened so early that I think the officials were like, all right, I guess we're gonna have to let this one slide a little bit.
Right. This is your first warning. Now get back and play football.
But also at the same time, it's like, pattern of behavior. Like every week, it's like, can we get him and George Pickens to do like a celebrity boxing match?
Dude, just have him and George Pickens just go one-on-one on the field. Like, okay, you're going to be defensive back this time, and then you're going to play wide receiver the next snap and see what happens.
Put that in the Pro Bowl. It's like, I don't want to see you guys play dodgeball. Like, give me that. That's what
there you go. That would be a great dodge. Yeah, dodgeball. Yeah. Put these guys like pitted against each other like this. Oh, yeah. And then say winner gets $1,000 or whatever, some X amount of money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always all sorts of like bonuses for Pro Bowl things and stuff like that. So but yeah, let's see other NFL news. Pete Carroll the return of Pete Carroll, the ageless wonder, Pete Carroll.
I don't even think Pete Carroll can save the Bears. Honestly, that organization. They have to fire everybody in that staff.
Yeah, they need to start with like, I don't know, man. The GM, he's done some okay drafting. They've been active in free agency. Like they've got some pieces there. Like to start with, is it the ownership? Like what is going on in that building where everything is so just dysfunctional? That's the perfect definition of the word is dysfunction.
I think it's the hiring the coaches. I think the GM's kind of got his head straight a little bit with these. Like I said, he's drafted good, proper people. I don't know why he's not going after a line. He's got one of the cheapest lines in the league with a rookie quarterback. That's always
that's going to change failure. That's 100% this offseason. That it has to.
Yeah. It's going to be. It shows how much failure it is. You can't get sacked 66 times in one season.
Well, and a lot of that too is Caleb Williams holding on to the ball too long.
Right. And then honestly, he's not throwing interceptions, so it's not bad. He's just not getting rid of the ball.
That was the first pick that he'd thrown in like 7 weeks.
Yeah, and so that's when he's not throwing a lot of interceptions. So it's not the worst thing that he's taking the sacks. He just needs to learn to get rid of the ball and not take the sack.
You got to throw it away.
Yeah.
You got to throw it away. And when you throw it away, like make sure you get it like all the way out of bounds. Like you've got
all the way out of bounds. Yeah.
Right. So, and again, I will say that Caleb Williams over the last half of the season has definitely shown marked improvement as a thrower, as a decision maker, all of that sort of stuff. Again, this is going to be a huge offseason for him, and the Bears need to obviously get some coaching talent in-house and get some offensive line help, which will make the entire offense function better. Pete Carroll, is he ready to get back into the grind? How much does he have left in the tank? He's reached out to, his former coaches and guys who were on his staff to come in. Has he already kind of started doing some stuff behind the scenes?
Right.
Makes you wonder.
And he says he's interested in the job, right? Who knows if the Bears are actually interested in him? I can see the Bears going after like a Vrabel to help solidify their office, their front office like that, or their coaching staff.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Pete Carroll's a defensive-minded coach too. They need to bring in someone to run that offense and to help Caleb Williams, get to that next level.
I feel like there's a lot more offensive coordinators out there than there's actual legitimate head coaches. Whereas Vrabel's a legitimate head coach, and he can run the defense, and then you can get a proper guy in there to run your offense, like how the Lions are doing it with, they brought in Dan Campbell, and then he found Ben Johnson to run the offense, and then so there's a lot of offensive coordinators out there that you can bring in to coach Caleb. I think you need to solidify that head coaching position with like a Vrabel or Pete Carroll or even some of these other guys that are out there that help build a good front office or that good office, the good coaching staff, because you need a good it's obvious how poor that coaching staff is, and they don't have anybody to manage the clock. They don't have anybody to manage Caleb Williams on the sideline. It's just a clusterfuck out there. So this is
absolutely. So it would be. I thought Pete Carroll's been very quiet since he left Seattle. Like I guess he's just doing whatever Grandpa Pete's doing out in the vineyards of Napa and hanging out there. But the call of the wild, man. It reached out to him, and I could see him. It doesn't mean Chicago's a young team with some intriguing talent. They're not afraid to spend.
Mm-hmm.
They just have always historically spent on the wrong things.
Right.
And that's a very competitive division right now too. You put Pete Carroll in that division, it's like that's just those
coaching staff.
Those division matchups all of a sudden just got a lot juicier.
Right. Even just with the coaching staff themselves. So you need someone to compete with LaFleur and Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, yeah. They're all three showing why there should be head coaches. At first, Dan Campbell, everyone was kind of surprised at why'd you take this guy? And 2 losing seasons before he finally turned around and had 2 more good seasons. But it takes time to turn around a bad organization as the Lions was.
Well, it speaks to how bad that organization was that it took him that long. And everyone remembers his goofy, introductory press conference about biting kneecaps, and we all made fun of it. And I was wrong about Dan Campbell. I've changed my tune on him. I do think that the fourth down stuff, it's a little unconventional, but that's one thing that what has turned into a very large, successful body of work. He has energized that fan base. He's got those guys playing. The team plays hard for him. I don't know if there's another. I can't think of another head coach off the top of my head who's got his guys who will go to war for him like the way the Lions do for Dan Campbell.
Right. Yeah.
I
can't think.
The buy-in from everybody, from the admin ladies in the travel office to like the water boys to like everybody on the team, like the buy-in with everybody involved in the organization is palpable, and that's huge. I think that's how they got to the situation that they're in right now.
And that's why Ben Johnson has stayed there, because even though he's got a head coaching job, he's like, no, this everybody wants to play football so hard right now, I can't leave. And that's what
they know that they have unfinished business. That they let a trip to the Super Bowl slip away from them last year, and this year with all the injuries, how are they going to get there, and how are they going to do this? They're holding on to that number one seed by like the tips of their fingernails right now. Philly, is playing really, really, really good football. Granted, that game against Washington got away from them, but that was their first loss in 2 months,
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, they're and that's going to happen. Like, again, that was a division game that came down to the bitter end.
Hurts went down on the beginning with a concussion.
Yeah,
the first quarter. If Hurts was there, they probably would have put up 50 points.
Yeah.
The way that the offense was rolling. So
it's going to be interesting to see. And then they got Minnesota. I mean, that the last game of the season is going to have so much to do to break down playoff seeding, division champions, buys. Like, it's good. The whole NFC playoff picture is going to hinge on that last game of the season, and that's again, NFL scriptwriters. Well played, guys.
At least for the NFC side. AFC side, I think, will be decided this week.
Yes, I think we'll get some more clarification, at least on the 2 through 7. I mean, Kansas City, again, they just wrapped up the number one seed, locked that in, which nice to see something finally go their way.
Right?
The NFC situation is going to be pretty spicy, especially what if Atlanta slips up again this week? What if the Rams slip up? There's going to be so many undecided things that are going to come down to the very last second, which is captivating stuff, for a guy like me who doesn't have a horse in the race right now. But for fans of those teams, it's, that's nightmare fuel.
Right. So with the Rams, they need to win tomorrow, and then 4 out of these 6 teams need to win tomorrow. Either the Bengals, the Commanders, the Bills, 49ers, Vikings, or Browns. And if 4 of those 6 teams get a win, that puts the Rams' strength of schedule over the Seahawks.
Okay.
And then they just need, and then if they win, and that happens, they're locked in for Week 18. So they can rest their players, because even if they tied, that's it. They get the strength of schedule season. So
one of my coworkers here, big Vikings fan, was like, "Hey man, you really think the Niners can get it together and go into Detroit and win that game?" And I was like, "Dude, we both know that that's not going to happen. It's like you wish in one hand and shit in the other, and tell me which one fills up first, dude."
Well, what I'm looking forward is the Bengals to win, the Commanders can win, the Bills can win, the Vikings can win. Everybody, the 49ers and the Browns, I'm kind of like, oof, those are going to be tough matchups to win.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see that the Browns restructured Deshaun Watson's contract?
Did they? I didn't hear about that.
They added 2 more void years on there to spread out some of the cap hit.
Not surprised. I mean, we all knew it was coming, because there's no way you can't. That guy's. That's another organization where I don't know what you were thinking, giving that guy that much guaranteed money. For, if it was like a Lamar Jackson, sure, give him that much guaranteed money. But Watson, I didn't see it in him when he was with Houston.
He had 2 good years in Houston, and then all of the allegations and charges and the suspension that wasn't a suspension. Then to give up all those picks for him, try to justify it to your fan base and the media that he's still a good young quarterback. Yeah, but he's like a subpar human being. That's character, especially at the quarterback position. Character counts a lot. He's only played 19 games over 3 seasons. Last year, he actually was looking okay until he had that shoulder injury, and then had his worst statistical season as a starter this year until he ruptured his Achilles. So I mean, I think even he knew at this point that if he wants to stay and get some more money out of Cleveland, he had to come to the table and play ball a little bit.
I don't see that happening though. I don't see him getting any better with that organization, honestly.
No, I think they need to part ways. I think Stefanski is, because of the injuries, he's not on the hot seat this year, but next year I think is going to be a make or break year for him. You know, these guys.
I think it's
last year was a wash. You had like 7 different starting quarterbacks, and still made it to the playoffs. Hey, awesome, great story. That was entertaining. But this year you had all these pieces and all the stuff there, and you sucked like badly,
big time. Yeah,
so
yeah. Before anybody got hurt, they were bad.
Right. Like, what's going to be different next year?
Yeah,
you're wasting prime Myles Garrett. You ended up trading Amari Cooper. Nick Chubb coming back was huge, but then he what I think was a foot sprain, so he's out for the rest of the year.
Right.
What do you do at the quarterback position? Like, obviously, Jameis Winston. That fun little experiment is over there.
I mean, I love Jameis Winston's character, but I just don't think he's a great quarterback.
No, he's a suitable backup. Like, if Jameis Winston is starting more than 4 games for you over the course of a season, you got problems.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna his flaws are gonna start showing up at the end. So,
here's a question. So, say that the Browns do manage to figure out a way to spread out some of this cap hit and do bring back Deshaun Watson next year, and let's not forget, like, that Achilles injury, that's like almost a full year rehab. He's not going to be ready to start the season. Do you go and kick the tires on like Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers? Or, I mean, I wouldn't touch Aaron Rodgers if I'm any organization at this point.
Honestly, I wouldn't touch either one of them personally. I would be going after Darnold, or
I think Darnold. I think the Vikings franchise Darnold and bring him back.
You do? I think so. I mean, I think so too. I think he's coming back to the Vikings, but that's someone you go after if you're the Browns, because he's still got a lot of juice in his tank, and he showed that he can be a legitimate number 1 quarterback.
Okay, but how much? Okay, so how much money do you give Darnold? Like, so he's on a 1 year. He's I think it's like $12 million deal. If you're Cleveland, do you go and give him? I mean, do you really have like $150 million wrapped up in 2 quarterbacks next year? Like,
right. I kind of have to at this point with how big of a mess up you did with
Deshaun Watson and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could probably almost get like a Kirk Cousins situation where he's got like made $250 million fleecing teams, between Washington, Minnesota, and Atlanta. So maybe you could get him on like a 1 year, $10 million deal. But also, I mean, do you cut him and take that cap hit? Do you try to negotiate and get him to waive some of that no trade clause? Would Kirk Cousins want to go play in Cleveland?
Yeah, I don't think Kirk Cousins would want to go play in Cleveland, honestly.
Right.
I mean, like, the reason I don't get why Stefanski still gets the job is, don't get me wrong, he had the season 2 years ago and the year ago where they look great, but the way he treats his quarterbacks and the way his decision to maybe this is the way he treated what's his name, Baker. And when he's injured, he's got a sling on his throwing arm, and he make him throw the ball 50 times. Like, what are you doing? And then that's kind of what made me not like Stefanski. It's like, this is what you're going to do to your player when you have 2 great running backs. They had Hunt and they had Chubb at the time. And you're going to make Baker throw the ball 50 plus times?
I agree. The way that they scapegoated Baker Mayfield and then be like, oh, we want an adult in the room, and then you go and give guarantee $250 million to a rapist. That is what makes like the success that Baker Mayfield has had since then so sweet,
Right. Exactly.
I feel like behind closed doors, like I bet Stefanski, probably shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Misspoke a little bit there,
And with if Tampa Bay wasn't so injury riddled in offense with their wide receiver room, they would be doing a lot better. So they looked great in the beginning of the season, but then when they lost one of their two starters,
it was Mike Evans and Godwin got hurt in the same game. Godwin's out for the year. Mike Evans is back, but he's definitely not 100%. You can see with that hamstring injury.
But I think they lost their starting tight end too, something like that.
Cade Otton is done for the year.
Yeah, so, and that's huge, especially for a quarterback.
They're still technically, mathematically in the hunt for the NFC South.
Well, I think they're only 1 game behind, right? Atlanta, right?
They are. Yeah, Atlanta has a tiebreaker over them, though.
Oh, no, they're tied right now. They're both 8 and 7, and Atlanta has a tiebreaker. And
Atlanta holds the tiebreaker, so that's why they're in first. But now Atlanta's running, a rookie quarterback out there.
Right.
Like, stranger, come on, this is the Falcons. Like, I'm really going to trust them to do the right, to not, like, shit the bed on this, on the stretch? I don't,
Right. Well, I don't know. I like Raheem Morris. I feel like I got confidence in Raheem Morris. It just has him being a Rams defensive coordinator for years, and I have faith in what he does as someone in the defensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
He's got a good offensive coordinator who he took from the Rams, so I trust what they can do and their decision making. So yeah, I can see them as long as Penix doesn't go out there and start throwing a bunch of interceptions. I think
they
could.
last week. He did. You know, and that the interception that was Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
Whatever that was, dude. Like,
yeah. So as long as you don't throw the ball at Kyle Pitts' hands, you're okay, I think.
Yeah, if I'm Drake London, it's like, cool, I'm going to get a lot more looks now, you know? And also, when you have a weapon like Bijan Robinson behind you as well, like, that's a good thing for a young quarterback. Granted, young quarterback, like, your tight end is supposed to be your safety valve, and instead you got a dude out there just, like, butterfingering shit away like that. Like, it's so bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into these picks then?
Do some picks.
Let's do some picks here. So we want to start with college, or should we go pros?
Let's go pros.
Pros, okay. What the hell? Why is it? Where is that? There it is. All right, here we go. So, of course, we didn't pick any of the Chargers, Chiefs, Texans, Bears, Seahawks. The only thing we probably wouldn't have hit was the Seahawks over because I think that was at like 6.5.
Yeah.
So that's the only one we wouldn't have hit. We could say we won, but I'm not going to say we won because we didn't pick them.
That was fine.
We were busy with family and friends and stuff, so it's more important to do that during the holidays than try to pick football games. It's fun to watch them, but it's dumb to be trying to place bets.
Also, like, neither of us thought to just like also send a text message and be like, "Hey, they'll take 30 seconds," and neither of us thought about it. So
right. I was busy. We were busy. It's all right. It happens. All right. We'll start with the first game of the week, or the fourth game of the week, I should say. It would be Chargers-Patriots. And in New England, Chargers are favored by 5.5. I mean, I'm taking the Chargers all the way here. I don't see.
They're trying to do their Harbaugh, the Harbaugh magic, where he goes and gets his team into the playoffs in their first season. New England, Drake May, they're spiraling right now. But I don't think anybody is surprised that at this point in the season, what's going on. Go with the Chargers.
Yeah. And the Chargers defense is so much better than, or not so much better, but definitely better than the Bills. And they don't know each other as much. So, last week was a fluke, I think, for that Patriots offense. So I don't think they'll be putting up 20 plus points again. I think they'll probably put up maybe 12, 15.
Yeah.
So. Next up is going to be a great game to watch. The Broncos versus the Bengals in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 3.5. Now, 3.5 scares me. I hate when it's at 3.5. As a betting man, it's like, why are you at 3 plus? If it's at 3 and minus, then cool. I feel more comfortable with the Bengals. But I still see the Bengals lighting them up, and the Broncos not having that. They have a strong defense, but it's not ready for what Joe Burrow can do to people. Joe Burrow can throw everywhere. So that's what.
And Jamar Chase is absolutely playing out of his mind right now too.
Right.
So,
I think they got Higgins more involved last week too, so which is helpful.
I'm with you. I'm going to go with Cincinnati too.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And next up, we got what I'll be focused on: Rams Cardinals in LA. Rams are favored by 6.5. Of course, I'm taking the Rams with the points. I think they'll win by a touchdown. I think the week 2 was a fluke. They had so much hurt on their offense when they first faced them that they couldn't even put a good, decent line together. Their defense is more in a click. I got some good stats from their last game. Spites stopping one on 4th and 1 twice. They contained Rodgers and Hall to like 56 and 38 passing or 56 rushing and 38 passing yards, and then held Devontae Adams down to 68 yards. So I mean that's huge for defense. Even though they contained it for at one point in the game, an hour in the game versus the Rams versus Jets, I think that shows a lot how much more this defense has improved versus when they first came to when they played in week 2. I mean, week 2 was just a disaster for the Rams. So
I'm going to actually go with I think the Rams win, but I think the Cardinals cover. I think it's going to be a closer game than you're expecting right now. The Cardinals, while they've been eliminated, again, I'll put the Cardinals on the list of teams that did surprise me this year. You know,
I think
they looked a lot better than how I thought they were going to look this year. And I know that the opportunity to go and not necessarily play spoiler, but to go and throw a wrench into a division rival's playoff plans, that's I think going to be a huge one this one, and they're going to give them everything they can hang. I think the Rams squeak out a win, but the Cardinals will cover.
So the reason why it's 6.5 is Connor is questionable. He hasn't really practiced all week, and if they lose Connor, I think that's the Rams will.
It changes everything they do on offense. So
right.
I'm going to say that that question. Look, everyone's questionable this time of year because everyone's beat up, especially a physical runner like that. But I'm going to gamble and bet on the fact that he's going to play,
just so they can play spoiler, right? Yeah, yeah. It makes sense. Next up, we got another division game: Panthers versus Buccaneers. Buccaneers are favored by 8 in Tampa. That 8's huge.
Eight's huge. I think the Panthers cover. The Panthers have again a team that's figured it out this last month or two. They're looking a lot more composed out there. Still, lots of issues on offense. Lots of just holes all over that team. Just they don't have a lot of talent.
And I think the Panthers beat the Buccaneers the first time around. I think they got their first. No, was that who the Panthers get their first win against? I thought it was the Buccaneers.
The Saints, I think, actually.
Okay,
that was a division game, but it wasn't the Bucs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up, this is going to be a barn burner. Get out your siesta hats for this one. Titans versus Jaguars. Jaguars are favored by a point in Florida.
Mason Rudolph still getting the start for Tennessee?
I think so. I believe so. I mean, this is a know-nothing game. No one's going to watch this besides it. Not even Titans and Jaguars fans will probably be watching this game.
No.
So pick 'em game.
I guess Jacksonville.
I'm going to go Titans.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go Jacksonville just for fun. Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was just going for Titans just for fun.
I was going the opposite just to say something. Yeah.
Here's going to be another siesta. Raiders Saints. Saints are favored by, Raiders are favored by a point. That shows how far the Saints fallen without Carr. They're now favored by a point.
I kind of wanted Carr to be healthy for this game to put it back on the Raiders, even though granted it was the previous regime, of McDaniel just completely just doing what Josh McDaniel does when he gets head coaching gigs.
Right. I gotta go with the Raiders on this one. I want to take the Raiders with the point.
Yeah, especially with Spencer Rattler. Yeah, I got to go with the Raiders on this one.
Yeah. Next up, this will be an interesting game because it's another division game. Jets versus Bills. It's going to be in Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 10. Double digits here. That's what makes this interesting. Are they going to show up what they did versus New England, or are they going to show up what they did versus the week before, where
it really depends, I guess, like what mood Aaron Rodgers is going to be in. Like,
right.
10's a lot, though.
Right. Aaron Rodgers will probably get his 500th career passing touchdown in this game because the Rams stopped him from getting it.
Right.
Which I was very happy to see.
That 10's a lot, though, dude. I don't know. I think, I think that the Jets cover. Buffalo wins, but the Jets cover the 10.
All right. I'll go opposite on this one just to keep it interesting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, because I have no idea. I know the Bills are going to win, but I just don't know by how much, like you said, because it is all depending on Aaron Rodgers and how he does.
His mood.
Yeah. This would be a good game to watch.
My vibes are off, man.
He didn't hit the hookah just right.
Exactly.
Like I said, I think this next one would be an interesting game to watch. It would be Colts versus Giants. Colts are favored by 7.5 in New York. So it's going to be an outdoor game in New York with this weather right now, which is going to make it more interesting for Anthony Richards and see how he does. Or the Colts can't make it in, right? The Colts are just out of it.
The Colts are still technically alive.
They are. Okay, yeah, they are. They're 7-8 right now. They have to win out, and they have to have... See, that's the thing. If Broncos win, and the Chargers win, they're out. They're eliminated.
Right. They need to win. So I actually think the Colts and Jonathan Taylor had a monster game last week. And let's be honest, the Giants suck. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just feed Jonathan Taylor the football a whole bunch more and see if you could go for another 3 tutties and 200 yards. So
exactly.
yeah, we'll go with the Colts there.
Same. This is wait, Cowboys are favored? No, I think I did this one wrong. Cowboys, Eagles. For some reason it's saying the Cowboys are favored. I don't think so.
They are because they still know Jalen Hurts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me double check though. I want to make sure. Because I do this quickly, I do boom, 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 boom.
So we got here.
My bookie. NFL. No, yeah, Eagles are favored by 7.5.
Okay.
So sorry, yeah, I got that. I thought that was wrong. That's a lot, even for Hurts to be gone. Even though what's his face is looking good as their backup quarterback. No, not Kenny Pickett. The Cowboys. Cooper Rush. He's looking good.
The Cowboys' defense has now come to life, and I think that could, going against a backup quarterback, could work in their favor. Philly needs to win because Philly, they can see that with Detroit, is on the ropes a little bit just with all their injuries. They have an opportunity to try to move up in the NFC playoff standing. I think the Cowboys cover.
Same. That's what, honestly, I was thinking the same thing with Hurts being gone.
But Philly's going to pull out a W because Mike McCarthy will make a dumbass late game play call and cost them a victory.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I could see the Eagles winning, but covering that 7.5 is just too much. If it was 6, I would say cool.
And again, this is 7.5. This is a division game late in the season. Cowboys looking to play spoiler. Like there's a lot of teams are playing for pride right now. And the return of Micah Parsons and how it's jump started that Cowboys defense is impressive because honestly, I would not have faulted them if they just would have rolled over and gone home a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. Next up, we got Browns versus Dolphins. This will be in Cleveland, and the Dolphins are favored by 6.5. And I think I'm just going to take that spread all the way. Even though, interesting, I saw this today. The Dolphins are getting investigated again for injury line about injuries. So apparently, Tyreek Hill has been dealing with an ankle injury for the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't been disclosed.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So I didn't read too much into it. I just saw, I was like, don't tell me this is Tua. They're behind something else with Tua's concussion or something. I saw Tyreek Hill and his ankle injury. I was like, okay, who cares? you know. So, but yeah, they're getting investigated. I don't know what happens in those investigations. I'd have to look more into it.
They find them. Sometimes they dock them like a late round draft pick. They have to show that it was malicious
intent.
Yeah, there's a thing. But let's not forget, this is the same Dolphins team that been investigated for tampering a couple of times. They play a little fast and loose with the rules. So I also am going to take the Dolphins on the points in this one.
This is going to be the game of the week right here. Packers versus Vikings in Minnesota. Vikings are favored by 1 point, so it's a pick'em game. This is going to be an interesting game to watch. So much is on the line.
Oh yeah.
The Vikings are already locked in. I think they're already locked in their conference, right? Yeah, they're 13-2 versus 11-4.
They've clinched a playoff spot, and technically the NFC North is still in play. But they need to win out, and they need Detroit to lose before they face them in week 18. I think that last week's game against a tough Seattle defense, Sam Darnold playing, getting hurt, another major missed face mask. Like, I get that he's not like a Mahomes level quarterback in terms of stashing. What, that face mask?
They called the face mask.
Okay, there's one they missed that was pretty egregious.
That's the one they missed. Okay.
Yeah, so I've seen Sam Darnold get his helmet taken off. I saw him get punched in the face. No flag. Like, come on, man. Are we protecting quarterbacks or are we not? But I thought that was protecting Mahomes. That was a late game rally they put together. To me, that was a statement game. This is a tough team. The Vikings have blown a lot of teams out this year, so for them to win a close game on the road, bad weather, hostile environment. I thought said a lot about the nuts on this team.
Right.
I'm gonna pick. What's the spread on this one?
1 point.
I'm gonna pick the Vikings to win and on another last second field goal.
So I'm picking the Vikings again, just mainly so they're one of the four out of 6 teams.
Right? Yeah, you need them to win. So yeah,
yeah, I need them to win. So I'd bet on them to win. The Packers are a hot team right now. Don't get me wrong. They definitely are a team right now playing like they can beat the Vikings. Their defense is playing lights out, as it showed last Monday night, even though it was against the Saints team. But shutting someone out completely in the NFL is a tough thing to do. No field goals, no touchdowns, no nothing. They didn't allow any turnovers. They got multiple turnovers. They allowed silly numbers against the Saints, and this completely shut them down. It was embarrassment.
They did. Now, granted, that's a Saints team, backup quarterback on the road, cold weather.
Right.
Yeah, that game wasn't even competitive at any point. This is a classic rivalry. It's so much on the line for both these teams right now in terms of postseason seeding, and where you want to be. I do think the Vikings just squeak it out.
I don't know how this isn't the Sunday night game and how the Falcons Commanders game is.
I thought it would have flexed.
Right. I thought they would have flexed it too, but for some reason they think this next game is going to be a little bit better. Falcons versus the Commanders. Commanders are favored by 4 points in Washington. I think that's going to be Commanders all day. Personally, I don't see the Vikings.
Here's why I think they didn't flex this game: is you have 2 young rookie quarterbacks facing off late in the season with both teams with playoff implications. That's why they didn't flex this one.
Makes sense.
Showcasing some young talent there. I'm going to go with Washington to cover as well. Actually, what was the spread? 4?
4 points. I think this Washington Commanders defense is a whole lot better, and especially their offense is just against the Falcons defense is not that great this year. It shows that they do the bend but not break Raheem Morris style thing, but I think the Commanders have the offensive firepower to break a defense like this.
I agree. I think that Jaden Daniels is definitely the offensive rookie of the year. Should be the overall rookie of the year.
Right.
Terry McLaurin has really been showing out. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. They've got a lot of good pieces going there. So I'm with you. I'm going to go with Washington.
And then last up, we got the Monday night game. Lions versus the 49ers in San Francisco. Lions are favored by 3.5 points. That seems kind of low. Maybe I don't know if the Lions don't seem like they're a team that will arrest anybody, even if it was week 18. So I'm going to take the Lions with the points. What's his face? You guys are going to sit out Debo and your left tackle. Already heard they're done for the season.
Debo's not hurt.
I thought they were resting Debo.
No. Trent Williams, they did shut down for the rest of the season. Trent Williams is done, okay. But Debo should be playing.
They shut down someone else too. I saw it on Christmas Day.
There were. It wasn't Debo though. There's 3 guys. It was Trent Williams. Let me find it here. There's a couple other dudes that were there. They shut down.
But yeah, Lions are still too hot, even with their defense the way it is. Like their defense is shutting out people still, and even though they have like 21 guys hurt, it's amazing what these defenses still playing at full speed. Jared Goff, I'll say it still. I'm a huge Jared Goff fan. Jared Goff can throw it all over the field, anywhere he wants, accurately too, and so he can put up big numbers. We saw it versus him and Mahomes, where they both put up 50 points in one game. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, so the Niners ruled out Trent Williams for the season, left guard Aaron Banks with a right MCL injury, and a backup tackle Jalen Moore with a quad. Also, Spencer Burford has a calf injury. He's another offensive lineman. Small world, a gentleman I go to the gym with, his brother, who played for the Titans, been on the practice squad, got to suit up for a couple playoff games, played the USFL, actually tried out for the Niners last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Didn't get the gig, but as this list is growing, I can definitely see him coming back here.
Right.
Yeah, that's they ended up signing. They signed Austin Pleasance instead.
Okay.
Isaac Guerrero will be back.
Okay.
Dre Greenlaw is questionable. And then besides that, it's just the usual.
Oh, I thought
cast.
they didn't shut down Greenlaw yet. I thought they would have shut down Greenlaw.
He's questionable right now with right calf soreness. So it's the opposite leg that he tore the Achilles in, which is sort of weird.
I would just shut him down, man. I'd just be like, no, just relax. It's only 2 games.
Right.
You know, go have some fun, go work out. You know, be in the locker room, be that spark that we need you, but don't hurt yourself. You know, we need you. It's more critical to have you next year.
Absolutely. You know, and I get that he's out there. He's trying. I mean, Drake Greenlaw's a unrestricted free agent, so he's trying to get tape out there and show that he can play, that he's healthy.
Oh,
and get that check. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I also get that sometimes teams you need to protect players from themselves.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, Niners are down a bunch of offensive linemen. You know, you get Garendo back, but still, it's Brock Purdy hasn't had a lot of time to throw this year already. He was under pressure on 50% of his dropbacks against Miami last week. This isn't going to be a better situation with nothing but backup offensive linemen out there.
Right.
I don't know what you do at this point. I mean, you can only have Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk stay in so much to try to pick up, you know, some of the slack when it comes to blocking. And again, this is a Detroit team that wants to make a point, especially last time they came to Levi's. We all know what happened there. Right. So we're going to come out and try to make a point. I actually expect this to be a pretty chippy game, which I think all the more reason you need Drake Greenlaw out there, you know.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
All that being said, the Lions on a route. Yeah.
I mean, no offense to you, man, but yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah,
I totally understand that.
Yeah, dude, it's
just the Lions right now.
They're going to end up with a top 10 pick, which isn't the worst thing. Go get some offensive line help. You know, get healthy. Come back next year. I was talking with another 49ers fan that I was hanging out with last night. We were watching the Thursday night game. And it's, you know, get healthy, be active in free agency, extend Brock, you know, come back and play that 4th place schedule. And, you know, I like to use the Eagles as an example. Everyone thought the Eagles were absolutely like they needed to fire Sirianni. If I could start all over after, you know, they went 1-7 down the stretch last year. If the Niners stole their soul. And look what they're doing this year. Now they went, and yes, getting Saquon Barkley is going to make any team that much better.
Much better.
But what's not to say that you don't get the return of a healthy McCaffrey and have that same sort of effect for the Niners.
Right.
The Niners still have too much talent on that roster, too much talent on that coaching staff for this to be the end of the window that everyone is like trying to prophesize their doom and gloom. So I would not at all be surprised to see the Niners bounce back next year, double-digit wins. You know, probably, you know, leading the West or at least knowing the conversation for it. And you'll be back in the NFC playoffs. Would not surprise me.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. It all depends on what you guys do over the offseason with the signings and stuff. Because Brock Purdy's going to command a lot of money, and so that's going to change a lot.
Brock's going to get $50 million a year. You know, you do need to look at, you know, Tavarius Ward's probably going to walk. You just extended Deommodore Lenoir. You need to, I think, probably look at what went wrong with the Devondre Campbell signing, and make sure you don't make that mistake again as you try to reinforce the linebacker corps. But I think number one, top of the list, like 72-point letters, offensive line. You've got to, you know, be better on the offensive line. So here's a trade scenario that's been floated a little bit. Would you trade Nick Bosa to an AFC team for 2 first-round picks?
2 first-round picks, yeah.
Now, granted, I mean, one of those picks needs to be a top 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, depending on where it is, but they would definitely have to be a top 10 this year.
Right.
At least this year. Yeah. They would definitely have to be, but it's something that would pique my interest. It's something that we'd have to negotiate for a little bit more. I still would want like another player or even like a second or a late third, you know, like one of your comp picks that every team gets. I'd want one of those as well. But yeah, 2 first-round picks. That would start the negotiation table for me.
Right, so, and looking at, and I think people have made too big of a deal about like, oh, the Niners are 1-6 since Nick Bosa wore that MAGA hat. I'm like, I don't think that has anything to do with anything in the locker room. You know, like let's be honest,
the Niners have been so beat up since then, man. Everybody fell apart after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that everybody was held together with duct tape and fucking dental floss before then too. Like, you know, this team was teetering at that point. But I think people make too much of a deal like, oh man, that's bad for the locker room and Shanahan's losing it. And I haven't heard anything like that. Like, and you look at the way that players responded after the whole Devondre Campbell situation. I think that locker room is still very much united and is still playing for each other. Yes, everyone is disappointed with this season. There's no doubt about that. Things have not gone according to plan. But when you've the Ayuk holdout, then his injury, you're on to like your fifth string running back, like just injuries. I mean, so much time has been missed by star players, and still like a lot of these losses were like one score losses. Like a lot of those could have beat Seattle, could have beat the Rams. I mean, they're hanging around. They were driving to try to do something against Miami.
Right.
I mean, there were the season, like on the 5 plays of a game that really determine how close football games turn out could have been different for the Niners. So that's why, again, I'm confident in their ability to bounce back next year.
I think there wouldn't be as much of as like a hot seat and stuff. What has to say for the Niners if they weren't in the Super Bowl last year. Right. Like if they would have just made it to the playoffs last year and not went to the Super Bowl, you'd be having a different conversation right now because everybody knows how beat up they are.
Right.
And but because you're in a Super Bowl contender last year, you're expected to be a Super Bowl contender next year. Right.
That's what people. Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. In this case, I think it is completely injury based. Right. This lineup, if these guys stay healthy, and Brandon Ayuk was starting to get up to speed when he did have that knee injury. Not to mention they just extended Lynch and Shanahan. Their contracts pretty much run concurrently with each other.
Right.
The whole idea that Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat or they need to get rid of him and blow it up is just like, it's ridiculous. No. Who
are you going to replace it with? Are you going to get Ben Johnson? The only other guy I could see getting in there better than Shanahan would be Ben Johnson.
Right. Exactly.
And he's not. And that's you're just. I mean, if you're going to try to go fishing for a McVay, then good luck. I'm sorry, you're just retarded and good luck.
I mean, I think that there's a better chance of Ben Johnson coming to the Niners than him taking the Bears job.
Right. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I get that.
Just to put it in perspective of like how unrealistic both of those things might be. So
exactly. Yeah. But I don't see. Yeah, you can't just replace Shanahan just like that.
Well, again, he and Lynch came on board together. They're tied at the hip. To try to blow everything up now is just a massive panicked overreaction.
Right, 100%. I agree with you. Shanahan's way too good of an offensive-minded coach. That's the only reason you guys won 6 games this year is because of Shanahan's mind. Your defense kind of fell apart without Greenlaw being back there.
Right, without him picking up the... Well, and then Fred Warner's playing on a broken leg. Fred Warner, remember the first 3 weeks of the season? Fred Warner was a human highlight reel out there.
Yeah, lights out. Yeah. You guys looked great in the beginning of the season. As soon as and honestly, one thing you guys need to do too is offensive line. I'm sorry, your offensive line was just
offensive line. Everything is going to pivot on that, and especially if you're going to spend $50 million a year on Brock Purdy, you need to protect your investment, and that is why I think when people float the idea of trading Nick Bosa, you have 2 top 10 picks this year. You go get 2 offensive linemen. You immediately improve there. You spend the money in free agency. Go try to pry a center away from somebody. Like you've got to beef up the trenches.
We have a center we can trade you guys, John Jackson.
I don't want any of your leftovers. I want any of your leftovers.
You take his contract with him, please.
No. You could pay us to take him.
Right. No offense to the guy. I like the guy. I thought he was going to be coming up and be a stellar center or left guard, but the Limmers just showed out why he's earned that defense of the offensive spot. I said this multiple times in the podcast. I'm a huge Limmer fan. He needs to stay in that center spot. And even though he does do rookie mistakes every once in a while, like he did against the Jets and the week before, he got some bad holding calls and being an eligible man downfield, that's going to happen when you're a rookie. So,
yeah. Well, he's just kind of fallen out of favor. I think a change of scenery probably wouldn't be the worst thing for him. And hey, if anything, like get back, try to get a pick back for him.
Great. That's what I'm hoping we're going to get.
But also at the same time, it's like after the way the season started, you needed extra offensive linemen. So maybe keeping him around isn't the worst idea.
Well, that's the thing. So we got Jackson sitting at like $30 million that he's just a backup. So we have 2 $20-30 million backup guards and tackles.
Got to move one of those.
Yeah. So someone's got to go.
That money needs to be spent on the starting 22.
Well, so one of them is going to probably play because Harvinson's hurt. He got hurt during the practice. You know, I know I sent you the screenshot of the Rams injury report this week because I thought it was hilarious. The Rams are finally injury free. Next thing I know, Rob Harvinson hurt his shoulder in
you jinxed yourself.
I was like, shit. I did the same thing. I was like, why did I send that out? I was like, I was so happy to see 0 on the injury report, and then we haven't seen back on the injury report with a shoulder. Questionable. I'm more likely not playing from what I'm hearing, but we'll see. So, because you want a guy like right now, the Rams are in it, and we got a good chance. We got like 87% chance of being in it. So,
yeah, I was looking at their odds right now. It makes these late season division games become huge.
I love that these games are being division games. Week 17 and 18 should only be division games. You should not be playing anybody else. I didn't get the week 16 being an A versus the Rams and the Niners both played AFC teams for some reason. I don't get that. You can't do that. You need
that was
15 week 15. Okay, fine, but 16 through 18 they need to be NFC side or in division. I get you can't just do back-to-back division games, back-to-back division games.
That was a weird scheduling glitch, and who knows? I mean, the overwhelming Excel spreadsheet that is the NFL scheduling is like sometimes that's just like there's just some weird shit's going to happen this week. That's just the only way it's going to work. So
but leaving these last two to back-to-back division games, I love it. I saw that at the beginning of the season. I was like, oh man, this is going to make the division. This is going to make the game so much juicy at the end of the year. Even if they're not in it, it's a division game. And it's always going to be fun. Because I think the Niners play the Cardinals week 18, right? Mm-hmm. That's their last game. That's still going to be a fun game to watch because they're division rivals and they hate each other. They're not going to want to lose.
And again, the Niners gave one away to Arizona earlier this year. You know, at this point, it's playing for pride. And that last game of the season, you want to win that last game of the season. You want to go into the offseason on the upswing.
You don't want to leave with a bad taste in your mouth.
There's no moral victories or any of that in football. I actually disagree. When this season, the way it's gone for a team like the Niners, to get that W, to beat a division rival, at that point you're going to move 1 or 2 spots in the draft. Go into the offseason with W and get it going.
You're not going to be like the Raiders who can go from pick number 1 to pick number 6 by winning a game.
Such a Raiders move. Such a Raiders move. Or how the Cowboys are constantly backing themselves out of a good draft position too. You know?
Right. Well, who knew Cooper Rush was going to come out here and gunsling like the way he's done?
I did not. I personally did not have that on my 2024 NFL bingo card.
Exactly right. So I think that Cooper Rush has a big deal with it. I think he's putting out there like he could be a starting QB out there. Honestly,
I don't see it.
With the right offense, I mean, they're showing you that he can throw the ball around the.
You know, I mean, if there's a team that'll go and pay a bunch of money for Cooper Rush, it would be the Raiders. You know,
I'm not saying pay a bunch of money, but you give him like a Sam Darnold contract. You know, $15-20 million.
Give him a 1-year prove deal and bring him in.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see Dallas having to do that to keep him around because you know. All Dakota there hasn't really shown his ability to stay healthy.
Right. And I think he's gonna be out for the beginning of the season, right? With his
he's supposed to be fully. You know, he'll be fully healthy.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
that's why That's why they did the surgery when they did to like put a wrap on the season, so you can get into his rehab and stuff like that. Yeah.
Makes sense, and that's what you want to do. You know, you don't want to spend all off season recovering.
Well, and then they spent. I mean, they gave him that monster deal. You know, at the beginning of the season, you got to protect your investment.
Right. Makes sense. All right, should we get into the college football picks here?
Yeah, we can jump into some college football picks here. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot to show last week's picks. But whatever. Okay. So this was what we did last week. I took Notre Dame, you took Indiana, and then I took Tennessee. I really thought Tennessee was going to show up a little bit more.
I agree. Like that was a very underwhelming performance by them.
Yeah. So that kind of like just like left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, Tennessee, come on, man, come on.
Well, yeah, those first round games were.
They weren't the best.
I mean, Clemson and Texas ended up being the most exciting one.
Right. And my brother was telling me, like, even in other sports, like a lot of the first rounds, like, when they're going against like a number 2 versus a 7 seed, number 2 seeds are going to more likely win every time. So in college, I could see this being exaggerated even more because it's just so much of a difference. Like Indiana, don't get me wrong, even though they had that phenomenal season going like 10-1, going against a team like Notre Dame, it kind of showed you like why Notre Dame
the
hangs
two
in.
games that Indiana's lost this year has been to Notre Dame and Ohio State, and they were outclassed massively in both of them.
Right.
So I think
and
it just showed. But so yeah, you're competing with Notre Dame and Ohio State in terms of recruits and just talent all across the field. It's a team like a school like Indiana or SMU is always going to be at a disadvantage against anyone else. Penn State, not a problem recruiting. Tennessee, SEC, not a problem recruiting. Ohio State, not a problem recruiting. Clemson, Texas, like that.
Yeah,
those schools recruit them. The names already do the job for them. So you're just going to be at a disadvantage, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think we'll see this throughout the college playoff form. I hope they keep this 12-team format because even though those first rounds were blowouts, the leading up to it was so much drama filled and so much made the end of the season so much better.
Right, and
they do got to eliminate that break.
My favorite part of it was Lane Kiffin crying about like how this shows that Ole Miss should have been, and it's like you guys would have gotten beat by 30 also. So
right, yeah, 100%. I do think they got to try to eliminate that. Such a big break for like Oregon State not playing for a whole month is going to kind of hurt them a little bit.
Yeah.
So
and also the NIL, and you can't have the transfer portal while games are still going on. Like someone needs to look at the calendar here and get some of that stuff fixed. I am sure that will get fixed this offseason. But they're not. If anything, they would expand the playoffs because these things are money makers.
Right, 100%. Because I was all over them. So we'll see. All right. So first up here, Texas versus Arizona State, and mainly versus Scatadoo. I don't know if you got to watch him in the bowl game.
He's awesome. I like him.
Yeah, I didn't realize. My brother was telling me over the holidays is that at one point in the season he had more broken tackles than Genties, more broken tackles and more yardage than Genties did. So and that was like for a large part of the year. It was, and then he just kind of ran away with it at one point because he was playing for Boise. But so Texas versus Arizona. I don't know where the game is played, but it's going to be the Texans are favored by 13.5. I know it's a neutral site, but I feel like Texas will show up here versus more than Arizona State will because Texas is a football city, right? Football state. Arizona is. Don't get me wrong; they're excited that they're there, but they're not really a football state like Texas is.
It's the Peach Bowl, which is in. I want to say they play that in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yep, they do.
Oh yeah, because the bowl is not allowed in Atlanta. They said that there's no room for them.
A couple years ago, like the bowl kind of made a funny move towards Uga, the Bulldog mascot, and thinks that a little spicy. So yeah, and I'm sorry, dude. It's like that bull is scary, dude. It's a big, scary animal. Like
it's almost 2 tons.
Yeah,
huge ass horns.
It's got giant. Yeah, I mean, then you factor in like the wingspan. Yeah,
those horns. Yeah. He's no business on a sideline. I'm sorry. I get why you have him at your own stadium because you guys can set up a stadium to have it, but a team
for sure.
But a team like Atlanta is not going to have set up an area for a giant bull to be on the sidelines.
They barely get the bull through the tunnel. That's how wide it is, dude. Like,
right? Yeah.
We're not doing this, dude. So I'm going to go with Texas. I think, and part of it is what we just talked about with just the overall talent level. Arizona State does not recruit the same caliber of athletes as Texas. As much as I 100%. Don't like Steve Sarkisian, and just he's got Steve Sarkisian, very punchable face. But I do think that Texas, having only lost, the only 2 games they've lost this year were to Georgia, going back into Atlanta in the Peach Bowl, knowing that they can set themselves up in a position here to go and get a shot at a natty is going to be huge. I just don't think Arizona State has the firepower to keep up with them.
Besides Scatadoo, yeah. And as soon as they shut down Scatadoo, they shut down everything. So I'm on the same boat as you. Sorry to my sister-in-law, Olivia. She's Arizona State alumni. She saw those point spread versus the other day. She's like, wait, they're 13.5? Yeah. I was like, I'm sorry. They're just Texas football team. They're on a roll right now. They should have been in a little bit higher odds, but the way that the playoffs breaks down is Texas is just going to
it was the two losses. The two losses to Georgia. It really set them back a little bit, because I mean, and again, it was the SEC championship game. If they win that, the whole scenario is different. So
I'm going to skip one for now. We're going to go to Penn State versus Boise. Penn State is favored by 11 points. I mean, there's no way Boise State beats Penn State. I think personally, I think they cover. I think Boise covers. So I'm going to go with Boise with the spread.
I do this. I say the same thing.
But I don't think Penn State's playing unbelievable right now. And it's just no way Boise just beats Penn State. I think their defense is just too solid. Unless, Gently comes out and gets like 600 yards or whatever, 3 touchdowns.
I mean, that's the thing is they're going to, and Penn State linebacker they're going to have, 9 guys in the box daring.
Right.
They're going to make him try to beat them with the run. And if they shut that down, does Boise State have
Dart,
enough?
Right?
Huh?
Dart's their quarterback?
Yeah.
Boise? Yeah. They're going to make Dart throw the ball. Yeah.
Right. And I just don't see that. I just don't see that being a winning formula for them. So.
Right. Next up, we'll do Notre Dame versus Georgia. Georgia's favored by 2 points. And
I am surprised that Georgia's favored in this game. The fact that they're having to start, Gunnar Stockton, their backup quarterback. Georgia is also a significantly better team than who Notre Dame had to play in the first round. I am going to pick. I'm going to go with the Dogs on this one. I think Kirby Smart has been pulling rabbits out of his hat all season, and Notre Dame's not that good. They're just not that good of a team, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah, I think this is. If they don't get me wrong, you're going to bounce out a team like they did last week, Indiana, but I don't think they can go up against Georgia and win. Personally, right. I'm right there with you. And then we'll go with the Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Oregon. Ohio State's favored by 2.5 in this, which is surprisingly to me. I don't see why Ohio State got the favorite in this one. Maybe because they barely beat them in the last game, and so they're going to give them the 2 point that they're giving Oregon 2 points because they've been sitting for a month. I don't know. Does that make sense to you? That Ohio State's favored?
Yeah, it does. I think part of it plays into that everyone thinks Ohio State has had a tougher schedule, so they're more battle tested. I'm still thinking back to Ohio State getting beat by Michigan in a huge rivalry game and then crying like bitches afterwards. And I think a lot of that stems from I don't like Ryan Day. I don't like Ryan Day as a coach. I don't like Ryan Day as a person. Okay. I don't like the way that he runs that program. I don't think he should be employed in college football after the stuff that came to light that Urban Meyer helped him cover up. I know that may not have anything to do with the product on the field, but I think Oregon went undefeated this season and is the number 1 seed for a reason. They are rested. I don't think that the layoff is going to affect them as much as maybe, like you were saying, that you were thinking that it might. So right. I'm a little surprised that Ohio State is favored, but I think that Oregon wins and wins easily, actually.
All right, so we're going to be on the same page here all week because I'm taking the Ducks in the Rose Bowl too. I just don't see it, especially like you said, you brought up the Michigan thing. The Michigan line was so much better. Don't get me wrong, this is probably one of the best defensive lines in college football. But who they played? They played Tennessee last week, right? It was Tennessee.
Yeah.
They had a great defensive line, and all of a sudden, Ohio State's line showed up again. So who knows? It's all about the Ohio State's offensive line and how they show up. If they show up, then they're going to give Oregon a run for their money. But I still think Oregon's firepower is just too much. They just can run up the scoreboard like they have all season long. And I think this is going to be one of those games. They've had a month to prepare for Ohio State because they probably knew that they were going to face Ohio State. So they've been doing the research on them. They probably got all their playbooks, they got all their play calls and everything that they can get on this team. So, yeah, I'm going with Oregon.
Yeah.
And that's my reason why.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think we're in the same state of mind of all that. So,
all right. Save this. Okay. Any other football news? I mean, I got some more stats on the Rams game that I think will help. Oh, no, I already said them all.
Yeah,
also
You were very Rain Man-esque about your breakdown of that game. So yeah.
I honestly, what I was more upset about that game is, did I send you what one of my parlays was that I almost hit?
Yes,
It
you
was
did.
the Matthew Stafford interception, him to score a touchdown on the like a 1 yard touchdown, and then a Tyler Higbee touchdown. They had the ball at the 1 yard line, and they gave it to Kyron Williams to score a touchdown. I was so livid when he didn't turn it down. I was like, "No, Stafford! There's a hole on the left side too." Which usually, if there's a hole on the left side, Stafford likes to go for it, and I don't know why he didn't. I was like, "No, dude, don't, just go for it, dude." I would have $1,
Just fall over the line. You got to fall over.
Yeah.
You know?
I was so livid. I mean, don't get me wrong; they still got a touchdown, so I was happy. But at the same time, I was just so livid that he didn't try to go for that QB sneak at the 1 yard line.
I don't know. With old man Stafford these days, though, it's like maybe give it to the young kid. You know.
I get why, but Quentin Williams wasn't there. That's the whole reason I did it, because Quentin Williams was out. I was like, cool, Quentin Williams is going to be out. Stafford might try to sneak in for a sneaky touchdown right here.
Go right over the tackle there. So
exactly, that's what I was kind of figuring, but that's the only thing that didn't hit. And the only reason I did the Stafford interception was because everybody's like, Stafford hasn't thrown an interception in 6 games. Stafford hasn't thrown an interception in 5 games. Stafford hasn't thrown an interception in 3 games. And it's like, okay, you're just trying to jinx this guy here.
And of course, it works for everyone else. You know, works for every other quarterback. So
yeah. So I was like, okay, I got to put that in my parlay, because I knew they were going to feed Tyler Higbee as a give him a touchdown for coming back, because he's like a Greenlaw on the Rams the offensive side. He's a heartbeat of that team. Everybody's so happy that he's back.
It runs through him, so, yeah, for sure.
It really, and you saw it when they lost when he went down versus the Lions. It was just a totally different offensive team when he's not in the team.
We talk about it multiple times a year. The McVay and the Shanahan and the LaFleur style of offense needs a tight end like that. And when you don't have that, it changes the way that you set up your pass protection, your run game, the play action game, all of that.
And I think they only played him a light amount of snaps because it was in MetLife Stadium. And they're like, no, we're not blowing out your ACL.
Yeah, exactly. Games. The turf monster here is a real thing. So
they'll be in LA this week, the last 2 weeks. So I see him getting a full schedule this week and getting fully out there. You know, they kind of got him acclimated, getting his, blocking downfield and stuff like that. Got him a touchdown where he jumped 6 yards to get it into the end zone. So he's ready. He's ready to go. I think you'll see a lot more Tyler Higbee. So I put another parlay. I'm going to play another parlay touchdown on him this week. Actually, no, I got him to be the first touchdown scorer already. I already placed him on.
Nice.
So, yeah. So we'll see how it goes versus Arizona. Yeah, anything else? Any other sports news?
No.
Oh, they signed Blackwood. Colorado signed Blackwood to a 5-year extension today.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's how much they love the guy. Yeah, and see, like I said, I think Blackwood wanted out of the organization, and the Sharks are just like, look, we're rebuilding, I understand, so here you go, here's a winning organization.
But also, I mean, it's like there's not, they have 3 goalies and 2 positions, 2 openings, and everyone knows that they traded a first for Askarov, so that his time is, he's the man of the future, so I think Blackwood saw the writing on the wall. And was like, cool, let's go. And I mean, it worked out. I mean, like the picks the Sharks got back, they need the picks. You know, they're still
they need the picks.
They're still knee deep in a rebuild. So
yeah, they're only like 12 or 13 wins on the season, and it's like coming up to the halfway point here, and it's not looking great.
But it's the intensity, the closeness of the games, like all of that. I'm watching Macklin Celebrini go and do what he does every night is fun to watch. You know, so they're moving in the right direction. But yeah, need the picks. Need to get the right free agents. Need to build that dressing room culture. All of that.
And Celebrini is bringing that culture to him because he's hits how much he's hate losing. I hear it all the time when he's doing his interviews. I hate losing. Even the one of the news articles did it recently. He's like, oh yeah, part of the culture change is Celebrini being hating to lose and wanting to do more to win. And that's a huge culture change. That's huge for your locker room, especially for a young rookie to be doing that and saying he hates to lose in front of the media and in front of everybody is huge.
Well, he's going to have to see. I mean, is he an alternate right now or no?
Celebrini?
Yeah, like for captaincy. He's not. He doesn't have an A.
No, he doesn't got. They probably won't give him one until like a year or 2 from now. They might give it to him next year.
Yeah, I was going to say next year. I mean, he is speaking and acting like the team leader, which is what you're the number one overall pick should be doing. So he's saying and doing all the right things. I like the young core they have. Just need to get some complementary pieces in there, and then I think that we're maybe still a year or two away from the Sharks making a run, being a 7 or an 8 seed, and doing stuff like that. But again, the light is at the end of the tunnel. As Sharks fans, we can all see it, and it's refreshing.
It's bright. It's bright on the end of the tunnel. So, and we see it, and we're moving towards it. Even like I have a buddy who has season tickets, so he goes to every as many games as he can, and the way that we're playing from last year to this year, even though we're losing, he just says there's so much more excitement in the stadium than there is was last year.
Last year may have been the worst season ever as a Sharks fan.
Right. Yeah.
It really was. Really, 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 really shitty.
Right. But we needed it to get that first overall pick.
Exactly. And I think everybody knew that as a fan, and it sounds great on paper, but then to actually have to like sit through a season of suckery like that, you're just like, bro, like this is rough.
Yeah, so, it was rough. Yeah. Next year should be better.
I agree.
Even this year is so much better. Even I'll watch them now. Unless they're getting blown out, like it's already 6-1 in the first quarter or first period, then I'm like, okay, I'm changing it.
Yeah.
But I'll actually sit down and watch them just to watch Celebrating play. So much better this year. That's pretty much all I got for tonight.
Same here.
Right on, guys. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, and remember, the easiest way to make money on the internet